Alright, we are back on gaming. You know what? It's been a really fucking stupid week in gaming because there's so much stupidity coming down the fucking pipe. We gotta address it. I mean, it's bad enough that earlier this week on Twitter, I had the Barry McIntosh trolls. Look, don't get mad at me, bruh, because your boy said something stupid and I pointed it out. Alright, don't get mad at me. He said it, alright, not me. And then you gonna get mad at me? No. Let him take some fucking responsibility. He don't like it? Too bad. You don't like it? Too fucking bad. Not my problem, okay? Now, I will put it like this. We're gonna start off with the media, because a lot of them are trying to get back into your good graces, alright, when it comes to video games and talking about gamers. As far as I'm concerned, not trying to hear that shit after what you pulled, alright? But for those who don't know, alright, CBS Philly, that's right, we gotta start local, alright? Now, if anyone who's following me on Twitter, you know I had to go after them twice this week when it comes to video games, alright? Actually, not too long ago, CBS Philly, it was earlier this morning, said that Drexel University are using video games to help the disabled. And while that all sounds good and fine and gravy, I'm sure none of us are mad at that. That's not the point, alright? We've known this for years, have we not? I have shown you video of people and companies who have modded the Wii, who have modded the Kinect, and have used it to help people when it comes to disabilities. I have shown you guys and girls this for years. So it's nothing new, right? So you think, okay, this is just them stumbling upon something new. Because you say, oh, you're late to the fucking game. Actually, no, that's not the case here, alright? What they're trying to do is get back into your good graces by regurgitating articles. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, earlier this week, they tried it again about surgery and video games. That article was written this week. Now, as you know, you say, okay, well, we've known this as well. You're right, we have known this as well, because I've shown you video for years now of surgeons who have used, especially the Kinect, have used the Kinect for surgeries. Have we not? We've seen it with VR. We see these things time and time again. We've seen it for years. So for them to bring up this article is bullshit. You want to know why? Because it's a regurgitated article. For those who do not know, that's right, CBS, their main branch, all right? In 2004, they said the same shit. That was in 2004. It is 2016. You thought you was going to get away with regurgitating the same fucking article, huh? No, I don't think so. And this is the get back in the good graces, get the fuck out of here. You were one of the main people who jumped on the gravy train, okay, when it came to demonizing games for a very long time, for years. So, you demonized games for being too violent. You demonized gamers for playing them, calling us killers and rapists and sexists and harassers and terrorists. And all of a sudden, now that you come up with these articles, oh, this is a positive thing we can look at. All of a sudden, you want to be back in our good graces. Fuck that. I'm not trying to hear that shit, alright? Especially with old-ass articles that we already knew, old-ass information that we already knew, and you want to present it as if it's new, as if it's hip, as if it's, if it's happening, because you want clicks, you want ratings. You will do whatever it takes, no matter if it's a like or a slander towards gamers or gaming, in order to stay on top, it seems. But let's keep about that, shall we? Let's still talk about the slander part of gaming, because not too long ago, we saw this shiny little nugget, didn't we? Hold up. Even for me, it takes a minute to process this type of stupidity. Because, let me get straight, alright? Because we're going to add this to the list of shut the fuck up. How about that? Shall we do that? So, murder in VR should be illegal. Because you feel as though it's going to train killers. It's too real! It's going to train killers and gamers and murderers and... Okay. Not too long ago it was... guys who have VR shouldn't look at girls, they shouldn't have certain games that look at girls, scantily clad girls, because it's creepy. And then we had another person complain about how there is sexism in VR. So sexism in VR, people being creeps, and now violence in VR, because, murder in VR because they're going to turn them into killers. Yeah, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. You're literally taking away creative ideas from developers because of this. Games have done this for so long. So I guess all VR experiences, according to them, should just be walking around, hugging people, talking to people. What do you want from VR? Seriously, what do you want? If someone wants to make a survival horror game and you have to kill something, what's the problem? I don't see the problem. It's survival horror. That's what you gotta do to survive. I mean, for me, it just seems really fucking stupid to make an article based off it. You shouldn't have killing in VR. It's too real. You shouldn't have, you shouldn't be able to look at women in VR. It's too real. I mean, so Dead or Alive, people are going to have a, fucking fit over that. Like, you know what I mean? I've experienced sexism in VR. I experienced harassment in VR. Like, everyone can make a claim to anything. I experienced racism in VR. Anyone can make a claim in VR or any game. That's how it is these days. You can make a claim and write an article about it, and people will latch on like, yeah, this is wrong, without even thinking about things. All right? You have to understand that, and I have to very much stress this when people talk about they've experienced sexism or racism or whatever online. Have you had the experience? I'm sure you have had the experience. But here's the thing. Every time you play a game, they let you know in the ESRB, all right? Online play is not rated. It's not rated because it's unpredictable what you will encounter with other players. You understand that, right? It says it on the fucking box. It tells you, all right? They can rate the game, the single-player game part of it. Multiplayer cannot be rated, given everyone's different attitudes. Too many people. A melting pot of gamers who you don't know how they're going to react while they're online. You get that? Do you understand that? Okay, as long as you understand that, as long as you get that. So can we please stop these stupid fucking articles, and like I said, we're just going to list it under shut the fuck up. How about that? Alright? Now, let's move on. Want to talk about Pokemon Go real quick. I have some other mobile games we'll talk about real quick. Pokemon Go. Now, for those who did not play over the Thanksgiving holiday, apparently they had some type of Ditto event where you had to pretty much catch random Pokemon, yeah, if you feel like really doing that, going out in the cold, catching random Pokemon, and hoping that Ditto pops. Yeah, because apparently he's transformed, Ditto is transformed into some type of, other Pokemon. So you won't know until you catch it, right? Okay, whatever. Didn't really go well. I saw a lot of people who didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They really didn't care. It was pretty much bare bones out there during the Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving weekend? Does not matter. However, Pokemon Go is talking about having a Christmas event. That's right. They're going to prepare for the holidays and try to have a Christmas event to bring more people around. Kind of figured that was going to happen. We've talked about this before, right? They should start with holiday events and, line it up in order to get more people out there. Okay, now here's the problem I'm having right now. Okay, because, like I said, Christmas event may bring on second generation Pokemon, which I'm sure everyone's okay with. But here it is. Pokemon Go is partnering with Starbucks. That's right, based on leaked memo. So let me get this straight. You're partnering with Starbucks. So for those who go to Starbucks, all right, because a lot of people say only hipsters go to Starbucks or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the case may be, how you feel about Starbucks. Now, because as you know, it's already packed as it is when you walk by Starbucks and you look in it. Now it's going to be even more packed, all right? It's going to be even more packed. So anyone who likes Starbucks coffee, if you're one of those fans, I would say to you, try to get your coffee as early as possible. Try, because you are fucked. If not, you are fucked. All right, I'm just saying. So we'll see what happens with this whole Starbucks thing. And of course, a lot of people will say, "Well, this is a major chain, and they're selling out to major chains now." And we'll see what you guys and girls say in the comment section. I'm sure most of the comment section are going to be like, "Fuck Pokemon Go." Yeah, that's pretty much what they're going to say. Okay, but speaking of more mobile games, all right, Lara Croft GO. That's right. It's coming to the PS4 and Vita. So you know. Now, also, we need to have this little talk about mobile games as of late. Because, scrolling on my phone, I came across a couple things, the good, the bad, and I'm undecided, some things. I don't know if they're breaching any type of copyright or whatever, but I guess we should talk about this, okay? So first, let's talk about the good, right? So, we'll talk about the good. I did not know that Mr. Bean had his own mobile game. The game looks pretty simple, pretty fun, looks like it's for all ages. Hey, we'll see what happens. It may do well, but it is an official Mr. Bean video game. So, there you go. Now, let's talk about more of the good. For those who don't remember when I showed this trailer, apparently the game, The End of the World, is now gone mobile. If they can keep the same mechanics, as they already have the one on Steam, and they can bring it over to mobile to spread more awareness to their game, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever, so congratulations to them for doing so, But now, let's talk about the bad and undecided. That's right. So first we're going to start with Mega Man. That's right. Or should I say Rockbot. Whoa, but it gets worse. Then we have a Catherine knockoff. That's right. Called 18 Dream World. Now here's the question, okay? Because I'm very confused here. Are these companies who are putting out these games, are they affiliated with the original companies? Have they signed some type of contract that allows them to do this? Because if not, this is stealing. And I say this due to the fact that you have to understand, if these are free games, a number of them are free games, I don't have that much of a problem with it, because then you can look at it as, you can look at it as just fan-made games. You can do that, you know what I mean? And just get popularity, notoriety, whatever your case may be. I don't have a problem with fan-made games that much. However, when you have things, when you see it in the corner where it says contains, in-game, in-game items or in-game ads or whatever, in monetization, you have to buy stuff, I have a problem with that. Overall, I have a problem with that. So, it goes to show you, you can make a free game and say, okay, well, they haven't had this stuff, but you're still making money on the back end from these microtransactions. That can be a problem. It can. So, for me, it's like, I don't know if they've been affiliated. I don't know if they've been, contracted. If they've been contracted, then you can't say anything, you know what I mean? But that's where I'm confused here, because I haven't seen anything that that says these companies are contracted with with said company who's made Catherine, or with Capcom, who's, who made Mega Man or whatever. So, Rockbot, and, they just change the names of this stuff and just try to give you the same stuff. However, the Catherine one isn't the same as, the original game, but as you can see, they've pretty much taken the art from it and just ran with it. You can see that right away. So, yeah, I have a problem with that. I really do. Now, let's move on to the fighting game community. I see there's more stupidity going on, but there's some positive news in it as well. But there is some stupidity going on in it, so we'll talk about that. So first, let's start with SNK. First, as you know, they've rebranded their name. They are no longer SNK Playmore. They are SNK Corporations. I think that's a good move, all right? Because when you get rid of that old name, it leaves a lot of bad things in the past. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. So, good move by SNK. But there's more news for SNK, all right? As you know, King of Fighters is getting a graphical upgrade, and they brought, They brought throwback 90s intros. You can't even be mad at that. This is for King of Fighters 14. You can't even be mad at that. So, SNK, once again, showing love and crafting it the way it's supposed to be. I don't understand how this game doesn't have more recognition. I mean, look at what they're doing. They are putting a lot of love into King of Fighters 14. You can't even be mad. The graphical upgrade is like, okay, whatever. And I'll put the link in the info bar where you can see the difference in graphical upgrade, which is like, okay, it's fine. Wasn't needed. But okay, I get what you're doing. You know what I mean? But the throwback 90s intros, bruh, that's a completely different level of dedication and showing how much love they have for the fans. That's what it's showing. And people should appreciate that. Because guess what? Other companies that are, making fighting games, they're not doing that much, are they? They're not going that far, are they? No, they're not. But let's go on some more. Talking about the fans, okay? SNK, again. King of Fighters 14 survey, that's right. They want you to know, they're asking you actually, what should be next, right? When it comes to, how to promote King of Fighters 14, where would you like to see it, and things of that nature. And I love this survey because it says, in the survey, we don't want to just hear from the NorCal guys. No. We don't want to just hear from Californians. They literally say that in the survey. They said, we want to hear from any and everyone. They want to hear your ideas. They want to hear what's going on. This is how you reach your community. This is a great thing. SNK, again, doing it the way it's supposed to be done. This is what we had, for you newcomers or you new gen, fighting game players, this is how shit was done back in the day. Difference is we got online now. Before there was an actual rep there when you were playing these games. When you played in these tournaments, there was a rep. The overseers and everything. That's what it came down to. It wasn't just tournament organizers. You actually had a person from the company there to watch what was happening. And 9 times out of 10, they weren't there for the entire thing, but they sure as hell made sure they were there for the finals. They made sure. You know what I mean? This is, and you could actually walk up and talk to them and everything. This is how it was done. Of course, the age is different now, so we have online, so they can put out these surveys and stuff, which is fine too, because, trying to get a rep to come out, it's kind of taskful these days, but still, alright, they're still trying to meet you halfway, which you want from a company. You want that. They're trying to build that bridge, instead of doing, I guess we should talk about this, what Capcom is doing, shall we? Street Fighter V holiday costumes are on the way. More milking. More milking. Like, are you serious? I mean, I guess we can look at it and say, well, at least they have a bundle now, unlike they did with the Halloween pack. But then you have to think to yourself, you shouldn't even need a fucking bundle. Just make players earn it in game. Like, seriously, this is what I mean about milking upon milking upon milking. Capcom doesn't give a shit about its fans. They don't. They fucking don't. Number 1 developer in the world, my ass. If that's the case, let's talk about this right now, shall we? We know that it's been announced Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. What did I say to y'all on Twitter? Does it look like I give a fuck? Don't care. All right? I'm going to talk about this, all right? Because we've seen a number of shills since this have reaction videos and stuff, and they're just piping this to the fucking moon. And I feel like you've got to be kidding me. Capcom, like, look, first off, let's start with this. Infinite will not use assist and is easily accessible to new players, meaning they're going to dumb down the gameplay for new players like they did with Street Fighter V. So you know what that means, right? Your Marvel vs. Capcom game is fucked. That's what it means. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, they got gems. You know, this is going to be like Street Fighter versus Tekken. I think a lot of people fail to realize, or they just fail to remember, that Marvel superheroes had gems first. They tend to forget that. You know what I mean? So, but still, Marvel vs. Street Fighter versus Tekken, and this is what people are comparing it to. You got dumbed down mechanics. I mean, and mind you, you've got some of the elite players cheering. Yeah, you want to know why they're cheering for this? It's not because they're getting a new Marvel vs. Capcom. Well, no, it is because they're getting a new Marvel vs. Capcom game. Because they couldn't hack it after Marvel vs. Capcom 3 happened. What happened? They tried to go to other games, and only a small percentage of them actually did well. Everyone else? Nothing. They were barely hanging in there, weren't they? So, most of your Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom, you have to understand, Capcom, a lot of people are still mad at Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 because you didn't fix the problems in it, let alone you fucked everyone, the early adopters of the Vanilla Edition. So, you have to understand, people are still very upset about that. They are. But it seems like these guys who were on top of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, who had so much notoriety in the game, and they were praising it, now they're happy that they're getting it back because they can go back to the fucking game. That's all it is. That's all it is. And a number of you have said this too before I even said it. You're like, yep, we can see this coming a mile away. Some of you said it's not even a hustle now. It's a fucking shakedown. Like, you have to understand what is going on here. Capcom, for everything that you could have announced, okay? Then, like I said, you've got Darkstalkers, you got Tech Romancer, you got Rival Schools, you got all these games that you could have announced. You know what I mean? When it came to fighting games. But we don't even have to go with fighting games. You could have announced other games outside that there were major IPs like Onimusha. You could have done these type of things and people would have been happy about it. I know a lot of you go say Devil May Cry, but still, you could have done something else other than Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I'm not trying to hear this shit. And like I said, when you see these guys who are praising this and oh my god, I can't wait, it's like, are you really a fucking Capcom fan? Are you really even a gamer? Or are you just a pitch man? Like, seriously, you have to start looking at people now. Because if you're so-called a hardcore Capcom fan and you've known the things that they have done in the past. Capcom used to be a monster, all right? And there was no denying Capcom when they put out stuff, especially in the 90s. And you go back and you look at that catalog, and it's like, wait a minute. They're still giving us the same bullshit. The same Street Fighter, the same Resident Evil, the same fucking Marvel vs. Capcom. Where are the rest of the fucking games at? Where are they at? If you want to build your brand, remember, Capcom said they wanted to be the #1 developer in the world. If you want to build your brand and spread it out so that you don't, because let's be honest here, Marvel vs. Capcom, as we know, they're also bringing, Marvel vs. Capcom to the PS4 as well? Not just, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 to the PS4 as well as Infinite. So you know the placeholder is coming before Infinite because they already said it's going to take a while to make Infinite. So pretty much what they're pulling is Ultra Street Fighter 4 to bridge the gap to Street Fighter 5. That's what the fuck they're doing. They are milking you. How do you not see this? If you see the information, you see the tactics for what they fucking do. You've been a fan for so long, or have you been a fanboy? That's the question. You can't sit here and tell me that this is okay. This is a horrible move by Capcom, especially for all the games that they have that are just pretty much on the shelf with dust all over them that you could have brought to the table. This is what you do. This. You could have easily spread your wealth. You could have easily gave your other games a chance to breathe. And what are you doing? You're oversaturating your market again, and you're killing your products. That's what you're fucking doing. It's pathetic. And before you say, well, what do you mean oversaturation? Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 has been out for so long. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about their other games. That's what I'm talking about. How many people do you think, once Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 comes to PS4, okay? And you know Capcom's going to throw money at that. Like I said, bridging the gap to Infinite. Guess what? Those guys who were playing Street Fighter V, who used to be on top of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, they're going back to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That's where they're going. So Street Fighter V is going to take another hit. But if we keep giving you costumes and you keep paying for them, yeah, that's going to keep it afloat. Think about this. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you're a fan of Street Fighter V or Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. It has nothing to do with that. You have to understand the business that's involved here. All right? Stop being a fucking fanboy and realize what's going on. Also, look around you at the so-called gamers that are shilling the fuck out of this. Look at it for what it is. We're not even going to talk about Akuma and Street Fighter. We're not going to talk about that shit. We're not even going to talk about that shit. All right? But the fact is, again, you have to realize what is going on here. And if you can't see the strings pretty much that Capcom is pulling on these so-called gamers, if you can't see that shit for what it is, then I feel sorry for you. Like I said, you have so many games in your catalog. Matter of fact, we should talk about that right now. Fighting Game of the Week. Capcom, I'm wondering, you could have announced this as well. You know what? Let's take a look at old school. Let's take a look at another genre that is being built like Smash, that's being so big. Capcom, you could have easily announced Power Stone. My heart to see Capcom still be full of fuck and people defend this shit. Capcom has said before, we're learning from our old ways. No, the fuck you're not. You're not. And I can't believe that we're sitting back here, we're watching this shit, and it's just like, this is garbage. And walk right the fuck out. And then you have other guys, yeah. It's like, yo, y'all grown-ass men. There's no reason for y'all to be acting that way. Come on, hey, y'all grown-ass men. I understand being excited by certain things, but it's clear. Once y'all put your cameras on, y'all amp that shit up 10 times more than what it really is. Y'all do it purposely, meaning you're fucking fake. Fuck out of here with that old bullshit. Speaking of people, still, more Capcom news, more company news, alright, just like Capcom, who completely shit the bed, alright? Let's talk about it. Konami. That's right, for those who don't know. Konami sends a cease and desist disorder to a developer who did a Castlevania remake in Unreal. That's right, with the Unreal Engine. So, cease and desist. Okay, so, Konami, you talked about how you wanted to, do right by the fans. So, you shut down Silent Hill, you gave people a Metal Gear, that actually is not even out yet, but you showed people a Metal Gear that nobody fucking wants, and now you're shutting down fan-made projects of Castlevania. So here's the question. If you're going to shut down fan-made projects of Castlevania, where's your Castlevania, Konami? Where's it at? I'm wondering. Because if you're going to shut down fan-made stuff, that should be an indicator for everyone that, hey, you're making one along the way. I'm not trying to hear, but it's my IP, oh my god. Do you understand that when these type of games are made, it's made out of love? Let's say, this is not a paid thing again. But again, if you're going to shut this down, fine. It's fine. If you want to shut it down, fine. It's your IP. But understand that if you shut something down, the next question is always going to be, so where's your Castlevania? Where's it at? Because if you come out with a legit Castlevania, I don't think anyone's going to bitch about it. The last one you came out with, and I'm not talking that, that 3D shit. No, I'm not talking about that. No. The last Castlevania you came out with that had multiplayer online. Do I need to name it? I don't think I really need to, because I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. That game I still play, because it's a legit great game. It is. But let's move on about more cease and desist, shall we? Fan-made Doom game receives a takedown notice 10 years after release. 10 years. You want to talk about being late to the game? We talked about the media earlier. No, this is late to the game. But here's the thing. 10 years after release. Don't have a problem with it now, I'd say, because if you haven't downloaded this game in 10 years, then hey, the game is out there. It's circulating. Alright? You can find it, alright? So takedown notices and shit at this point, alright? 10 years after release. That's just mind-blowing. Man, talk about being late. But let's move on, shall we? Let's talk about Sega. He said, oh shit, what does Sega do now? No, Sega, this is actually pretty interesting. Sega says they're releasing, they're releasing an Alter Beast, alright, and Streets of Rage movies. That's right, so they're going into the movie business to bring this stuff out. Now, I'm all for this because let's see how this ends up. I mean, this could really be bad. I mean, we'll see what they can do. It depends on who they tie to these projects. But Streets of Rage, I'll put it like this. If you're going to do a Streets of Rage, you have to do it Warrior style. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, if you don't go that route, seriously, take it all the way back and do Streets of Rage. That would be fun to watch. It really would. But in more movie news, and now I'm not very confident on this. Rampage the movie. That's right. Will be emotional and scary. Also will include the original monsters. Apparently, The Rock is tied onto this game. He's been pretty much jumping all over this, saying that he wants to make this movie. So pretty much what we're going to see is an emotional disaster flick, I guess. I mean, a monster movie. You would have to do it along the lines of, I guess, Cloverfield or something. I mean, let's be honest here. If we've learned anything from American monster movies, they haven't really done very well. All right. Hello, Shin Godzilla. That was actually pretty good. So I'm not going to complain about Shin Godzilla. They actually did a good job with that. But, when you look at these other ones, you know what I mean? Like I said, monster movies are always on the rise. Kaiju movies are always on the rise. We can say hello to Pacific Rim. I'm sure we're all looking forward to Pacific Rim 2. It's one of those things where granted, you're going to have The Rock, who's, as you know, the biggest movie star right now in the world, tied to this. I just don't know how they're going to do this. I really hope that they don't try and Hollywood it up. And what I mean by that is, you're going to change the monster designs, you know what I mean? You're going to change the story. Look, I understand you have to modify it to make it believable, but seriously, we need to see these monsters and their names, give them their names, and they're grabbing people and eating them, and they should punch an electrical, outlet and get shocked and fall down and give you that look like, what the hell did I just do? And fall down, you know what I mean? Like, we should see these type of things. So, as a nod to gamers, because that's what the game came from. Rampage is still a favorite game of mine. It's kind of sad to see that Hollywood is still taking from this. So, I mean, if you're going to do it seriously, do it by the book. You know what I mean? Don't look at Rampage as just, okay, we're going to make this blockbuster movie starring The Rock, and he's just going to defy all the fucking odds. No, that would be horrible to do that. That would be horrible. You know what you're going to come out with? The recent American Godzilla. That's what you're going to come out with, and nobody liked that one. That was bad. Shin Godzilla, I said, good. The other Godzilla that came out before that? Was that 2014? No. Very disappointing, that one. So, let's move on, shall we? Speaking of stuff that, old school games, Parappa the Rappa. That's right, for those who don't know, Parappa the Rappa, Wipeout, Locco, Rocco, and Patapon will get remasters for the PS4. That's right. Now, I know a lot of people are excited about it. I don't know why. If you just play the originals, they're still great. Matter of fact, you just had a Wipeout not too long ago on the PS3, and that still looks great. It still plays great. So, to bring out remasters for this, it almost, I understand that Sony wants to beef up their catalog, but this is really not called for. Parappa the Rappa, I'll still play the one for the PS1 and have fun with it. I think that the lure of it is the fact that it's so old school. So, you know what I mean? To HD it up, I don't know. Also, let's talk about Bulletstorm. First off, let me say now, I'm not a fan of Bulletstorm. I played the original Bulletstorm. I did not like it. So, Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition, Randy Pitchford is explaining why PC gamers who already have the existing version will not get this free. Yeah. Now, let me put it like this. Who gives a fuck what Randy Pitchford has to say? Why is anyone even listening to Randy Pitchford? And who's going to buy anything from Randy Pitchford after the things that he has done as a league? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, seriously, when you get on stage with a guitar and you start doing a song about Gamergate, and the crowd is just like, the fuck is wrong with you? Seriously, we're never going to forget Aliens Colonial Marines. That's it. It's over. Alright? Then you came out with Battleborn. No one's playing that shit. It's done. You had what? Borderlands? Like, come on. Aliens Colonial Marines, will always be the staple. It'll always tell me to stay away from you because of what. Listen, it's not just because of your comments, what you said about Gamergate and gamers in general. But when you did that with what was it, Alien Colonial Marines, that was it. That was the end, at least for me. But there's more. For those who don't know, ASA investigation rules in favor of Hello Games when it comes to No Man's Sky, because of course a lot of us felt as though it was false advertising. So they rule in favor of Hello Games. That's fine. They're trying to say that it's not false advertising. That is fine if that's the the route they want to go. But here's the thing. Gamers learn, well, at least some gamers learn from this situation. So, the next game that Hello Games comes out with, I don't really expect gamers to buy it. Because they're going to remember what happened with No Man's Sky. Not to mention, a lot of people already got their money back anyway when they issued refunds. So, either way, even if it rules in favor of them, say, okay, we're off the hook for, false advertising, they lost a lot of money. They lost a lot of fandom. That's what it comes down to, because the community walked away from it. And when the community walks away from you in that much, that large, it's going to take a special type of game to bring them back. And as far as I'm concerned, no matter how many fixes you have at No Man's Sky, people are going to remember this. They're going to. And they're not going to give it a chance. And every time your name is, that company is coming out, Hello Games, we got something new. They're going to say, remember No Man's Sky? It's going to tie to you forever. Just letting you know. In more news. That's right, GameStop. Let's please talk about GameStop, shall we? For those who don't know, GameStop has been accused of overcharging a customer. Now, this is bad because you're thinking, okay, you're overcharging. This can be fixed, very simple if you're being overcharged. You have your receipt and everything, right? Wrong. Let's talk about this. Over the holiday, okay, Black Friday and all that, this guy bought a PS4, all right, with the bundle, got Uncharted and all that type of stuff. The games that he got with his bundle weren't charged as free. He was actually charged for those games on top of the bundle. That's right. So, when he goes and, calls customer service, he's looking at his, his online statement, he's looking at stuff. He's like, wait a minute. Here's your advertising saying that these games were supposed to come free with the bundle. I was supposed to get these games for free. Right? So you would think this would be an easy fix. No. GameStop says, we don't care. Yeah, we don't care. We're not going to give you your money back. That's what they say, customer service. Guy goes into the store with his receipt, showing them, all right, bought the bundle, was charged for the games by accident, right? Goes in, won't give him his money back. That's right. Then they go and tell him, if you go through your bank to dispute the charges, you'll be blacklisted from GameStop. That's right. That's right. This is how bad GameStop is getting. So, what happens? The guy says, well, fine, fucking blacklist me. Goes through his bank, within 10 minutes, it's solved. Yeah. This is what GameStop is on. So for every article I'm seeing as of late, GameStop is trying to raise, money for, said, charity for children or whatever, or trying, for the St. Jude's Hospital. When you're doing shit like this, it doesn't help you any. It doesn't. We're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Oh, well, this is just an isolated incident. No. When you are a customer, and I keep telling you guys and girls, when you are a customer, the power of the consumer, you have your receipt, you know that they fucked up, and you want your money back because they've overdrawn, they've taken your money. You are obligated to get your money back. They fucked up, and then they deny you, and then threaten to blacklist you. Oh, fuck that! Fuck that! All right, yeah, give me my money back. Fuck you. If that's how business. This goes to show you how they're acting. If you don't know how to treat customers, people are going to walk away from you. Fuck GameStop as far as I'm concerned. I've said this before. Fuck GameStop. Also, in more news, I guess we should talk about this real quick. It is Capcom news, but I find this pretty funny. I do. I really do. Streetfighter DLC, that's right, is now available for free. And you say, what, Street Fighter 5? No, actually, Monster Hunter Generations. Let's look at the DLC real quick. I have to admit, that's pretty fucking adorable. That's pretty funny. I have to say, that's pretty cool. I actually like that. Like I said, once again, Monster Hunter, Capcom always gives you free DLC. They always do. I feel as though Capcom could do more with Monster Hunter. Like I said before, I've given these ideas out before about how they can let, gamers set their own challenges and, put them online for other people to accomplish. You know what I mean? But hey, what can you do? Capcom has done, and I say this, they've done a really good job with Monster Hunter when it comes to giving out DLC and in-game items and event quests and stuff like that. They've always done a great job with that. The problem with Monster Hunter is that Capcom always limits Monster Hunter to said platform and doesn't give the exposure it deserves. If you want your game to get bigger, you got to put it on different platforms so that everybody can play, so they experience Monster Hunter. Sorry, I'm not going to keep buying Nintendo mobile systems just to play Monster Hunter. It's not happening. It's not happening. So, let's move on, shall we? That's right. Let's talk about Let It Die. Now, for those who don't know, this game was on Steam, and now it is coming to the PS4. It is available, actually, for free right now on the PS4. All right? So, give it a chance. Here's another thing. We need to talk about Hellblade. Now, for those who don't know, Ninja Theory has been working hard on Hellblade, or so they say they've been working hard. Now, understand that personally, I do not care. I do not give a shit about Ninja Theory. I don't care what they do from here on out. After what happened with Devil May Cry and the way they acted towards customers, fuck them. That's how I feel. Okay? So, what I'm getting ready to say has nothing to do with how I feel. Alright? Hellblade has been delayed till 2017. Alright? I don't care. The visuals look pretty nice. The story arc, what we've seen so far, I've talked about this before, I'm not buying because of the way they're going about, said illness. Okay? We've seen other games already come out who have done it even better. Okay? So, I'm not going to get on them. Will Ninja Theory prevail? I'm sure their fans will try and carry them, okay? And besides, the media they're a media darling for some fucking reason. You go against gamers, the media jumps all over them. If you notice, this has been a thing, okay? Ninja Theory was just like, fuck gamers. And the media was like, yeah, fuck gamers. And then what did we saw? We saw that build slowly. And what's going on now? Media's like, fuck gamers. So yeah, like I said, it's one of those things. Like I said, so we will see what happens with Hellblade. I personally am not going to play it. I personally do not care about Hellblade. Will it do well? It's possible. It depends. You know what I mean? But for it to be pushed back already, hey, it's one of those things again. Let it get pushed back. I really keep telling Ninja Theory, whatever I said, even throughout the Devil May Cry series, what did I say? Just give us another Heavenly Sword. Love the Heavenly Sword. Don't have a problem with Heavenly Sword. Don't. But now, at this point, I'm just like, fuck them. I don't care what they make. I don't. Just don't. Let's move on, shall we? Gears of War 4. I've talked about how I didn't like Gears before. I felt that this was just a cash-in, this Gears of War 4. However, I'll say that they're actually doing something well this time. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, Gears of War 4 has been tested for crossplay between PC and Xbox. I'm for that. Crossplay, anything that you can get that can have crossplay to bring more gamers together and bridge a gap between platforms, I'm for it. I'm absolutely for it. I don't care what company does it. I don't care what developer does it. Anything that you can, like I said, you can bridge that gap and bring gamers together, yeah, I'm going to give you credit for it. That's how it goes down. I don't give a shit if it's Microsoft. I don't give a shit if it's Sony. I don't give a shit if you're an Xbox fan or a Sony fan. I don't care. I don't care. Because they're just pieces of plastic. That's why. Doesn't matter to me. You go where the games are. That's what it matters. Right? That's where you go. Does not matter an allegiance to whatever system. And if grown men are still having this conversation, alright, about what's better, there's something fucking wrong with your ass. Seriously, y'all don't have any other better? Y'all have no type of priorities? Nothing better? Nothing more important? Okay. Let's move on, shall we? Rainbow Six. I've talked about this before just not too long ago, how big of a Rainbow Six fan I am. But Rainbow Six Siege, as now they've announced, that they're going to get another year of Season Pass. Seriously? You're just going to look. I've had this talk with some of you guys and girls before. You talked about how, you were asking for the Season Pass and how, they delivered. You're getting another year. Another year. Seriously. They're going to make you pay up again. Pony up. Now, granted, Siege is an intense game. It is. Okay? But it's also, if you keep looking at this, stuff, it's actually an incomplete game. That's how I feel. It's an incomplete game. And I've talked to other gamers personally. I've talked to them face-to-face who feel the same way, who are big Rainbow Six fans. So, as far as I'm concerned, once again, it feels like you're being duped. Everything is about money. Everything, all the time. And you say, well, it takes money to make the game. Look, fuck that, all right? We know, all right? You go back and you look at Rainbow Six, Vegas 1, Vegas 2, the DLC, some of it was paid, but guess what? They were giving you shit for free. They were giving you DLC for free. They gave you a whole DLC pack for fucking free. You remember that? No one remembers that. And within all this type of stuff, you say, oh yeah, they're goodies and all this type of stuff. Free stages and stuff like that. Did they ever, and the one thing that people kept complaining about, did they ever fix the machine gun glitch? No. So you can give us DLC, but you can't fix the machine gun glitch. Just like you having a complete game now, you can keep charging us for all this stuff. But for what I've seen, a number of people complain, well, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem. Have they fixed them yet? I haven't heard anything. I mean, no, I'm really asking. It's not, I'm really asking. Did they fix it? That's what I'm asking. The problems. You know what I mean? If they're going to keep doing this with this, second year of Season Pass. I can't trust Ubisoft. Can't. We've seen what they've done in the past. Like I said, any company that fucks up Tetris, I can't trust them with any other game. I just can't. It's hard for me to. It really is. And now they're coming out with another Ghost Recon, which I'm a big fan of Ghost Recon. I don't think that's going to do well either. I just don't think it is. But let's move on. Final Fantasy 15. We've seen the glitches. We've seen all the selfies. We've seen all the things that Final Fantasy 15 has to bring. However, I think what a lot of people just started to amp up was when we saw earlier before the game came out, why is the cast all male? And we knew this was coming. We knew. Did we not? And as soon as the game released, everybody had something to say about it. So now they're claiming about sexism and how, this is a no women's zone. So now Final Fantasy, you fancy the anti-woman. Anti-woman. And what kills me is the subheader that says, not even our games are safe. Like, do you see how much dramatic, how much just bullshit they're just trying to throw at you? Now our games are safe. We're not safe at all. Are you fucking serious? It's a fucking video game. It's a fucking video game. So, as we know, this is full of shit because we know Final Fantasy, they love to forget that Final Fantasy X2, all-women cast, they love to forget that Final Fantasy 13, alright, Lightning and that entire series, like, it's almost as if these people have never played Final Fantasy and they're just now seeing this. Final Fantasy 15, for what I have seen, alright, when it comes to character designs and groups and stuff like that, if you think about it, it's nothing but a big boy band. That's what it is. It's a boy band with some type of teen girlish tendencies. If you think about it, it's a pop game. That's what it is, alright? And I see a lot of people complain about the one girl, oh, look how she's dressed or whatever. Yes, because you've never seen a woman wear a push-up bra. Have you ever been outside? Have you ever been to a club? Have you never seen these type of things? When you say things like this, it tells me you've never had any type of social interaction. That's what it tells me. If you get on Twitter as a grown man and you're complaining about this, there's a problem, okay? Final Fantasy 15, we've seen a number of problems with it, but it's fine. A lot of people have laughed about these type of things, right? We have. But there's more, all right? Final Fantasy 15 Mystery Disc, let's talk about this, all right? Has a showdown fight with the Square CEO. That's right. So the Mystery Disc, for a while, this actually looks pretty cool. But, you can't please everybody. Final Fantasy 15 is doing very well. Even though we do see the glitches, and they're not horrible glitches, but they're hilarious to watch. But hey, overall, Final Fantasy 15 is doing well. It took them long enough to do this. Congratulations to Square for, coming out and making, a game that it seems like not a lot of people have problems with when it comes to the story. I'm sure people after, maybe a year down the line or whatever, even, I'll say 6 months down the line, they're going to poke so many holes in the story and find out stuff. Remember, Final Fantasy VIII had the same problem. Remember, everyone was like, oh, this is great. I'm going to say till about 3 months after Final Fantasy VIII, when everyone had finished it, everyone started poking all these holes in this story, an orphanage and all this type of stuff. They just so happened to be orphans together. Yeah. Everyone all of a sudden had a problem with it, once everyone had finished the story. You know what I mean? So you're always going to find something and then go back in hindsight and nitpick. You always do that. So it happens, all right? Final Fantasy had a successful release. I'll say it's the first time in a very long time I've actually seen a Final Fantasy commercial on TV. And that's a great thing for me to see because it brings me back to when Final Fantasy was really popular in America and they were constantly, running the ads, from the PlayStation 1 era. Constantly running the ads, even the PlayStation 2 era at times. So it's great to see, you know what I mean? It brings back good memories, you know what I mean? But, like I said, when you want to sit here and say that, Final Fantasy and its fans or the game itself is anti-woman, you get the fuck out of here. You go back and you look at the history, the Final Fantasy 3, 6, I mean, come on, Final Fantasy Tactics? You can't sit here and tell me that Final Fantasy has a history of being anti-woman. You can't say that. Alright? You can't. It's absolutely ridiculous for you to say, and you really should do your research before you decide to write fucking articles this way. Not even our games are safe. Oh my god, the terror! You want to talk about trying to be overly dramatic. I swear. Let's move on. The Binding of Isaac. That's right. Afterbirth. May be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Maybe. We'll see what happens. Keyword is may. We'll see what happens, right? Also, EA. You know I was going to do this video without EA and their bullshit. Let's talk about it. Alright? EA says driving to the store for games may be a thing of the past. They haven't learned shit, have they? Look, EA, just because you put out a couple games, and what I mean by a couple games is you put out Madden digitally, and you give them these incentives to go buy stuff digital, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden physical sales are going to drop, okay? It doesn't mean that. You tried this shit a couple years ago and saying digital is the way of the future, and what happened? Every time there was a survey, what happened? Physical was still there. And then, you had to change your game plan. Oh, well, we know, maybe in the long run it will happen. You said that back in 2009 about digital being the way of the future. It's now 2016, and you're still saying digital is the way of the future. Just because you're on board with these consoles in mid-cycle, giving you more stuff. Oh, but if you look at the download, if you listen to any gamer, all right, when you look at these downloads for these games, and they're gigs upon gigs upon gigs, and like, what the fuck? Yeah, they want a physical copy. Have you not realized this yet? It's going to take up too much space on their hard drive. Now, of course, for PC fans, it's different. But hell, even for me, when it comes to PC stuff, I want the physical copy of it because of these type of things. So as far as I'm concerned, you can't sit here and say this. You've been saying this for years upon years upon years, and once again, regurgitating the same bullshit like we saw earlier in the video with the media, and hoping that it sticks. You're really banking on that. Let's keep going. The last bit of bullshit from EA, and this is the last bit of news as well, okay? EA says, never, ever, ever discount Nintendo. We are huge fans. Really? So EA, were you huge fans with the Wii U? No? I recall back at the Wii U, when you came out with FIFA, for those who remember the story, you came out with one version of FIFA. Then when the annual version came out, you're supposed to have a new version of FIFA, and you didn't bring out the new version of FIFA. You slapped, the number on it, but it was actually the old version of FIFA. That's right. So you got caught, and then you were like, that's what you did. You got caught. You didn't give them the new version for the Wii. For the Wii U. You gave them the old version twice. That's right. So for you to sit here and say that we're big fans of Nintendo, you're full of shit. How long did it take you to even confirm that you were going to be, on the side of Nintendo when it came to the Switch? How many times? How many videos did I say, so, are you with Nintendo? And you were like, I don't know. We read the articles, so you were praising Nintendo, and the writers are like, so, give me an interview, so you're for Nintendo. Oh, we can't say anything right now. Exactly. You're full of shit. Now that you're for Nintendo, we never ever gave trust to, we never left trust for them, and we were always there for them. You go back and you look at that Wii U catalog. EA, please, and tell me that you were always on Nintendo's side, that you were always big fans. Full of shit. You're full of shit. Unreal. Anyways, that's all the news I have for today. However, I'd like to make an announcement. If you didn't see it on Twitter, alright, since this is gaming related, I have been sponsored by UGO Gaming. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I've been sponsored. That's right. To play competitively and, of course, commentate and everything else and promote stuff. So let me say this now. I am grateful being promoted. Esports! I'm grateful being signed on to these guys. The roster that they have is a very talented bunch, who can play games. We've seen these guys play games for, time and time again. They've won tournaments. I'm really interested to get into Overwatch now that they have an Overwatch team. Yeah, this should be interesting. I haven't played a first-person shooter in quite a long time. So this will be fun for me. Of course, fighting games I'm still going to play. But still, esports now, and knowing the guys that are on the roster, shouldn't have a problem getting around, being around those guys. I know these guys, and they're champions. They've won tournaments, and they're just all around good people. You know what I mean? And that's what you like. You want to be around people who can be down to earth. You don't want some fucking robot next to you who just wants to act a fool. No, you can actually play against these guys and then go to dinner. How's your family and all that type of stuff. And talk with these guys. And very talented bunch. So as far as I'm concerned, this is something that I feel this is how teams should be built. You know what I mean? Of course, you're going to look at skill and everything like that, but you also have to look at the qualities of the person that is there, too. Like I said, if a person isn't up to snuff in said game, they can always do something else, like promotion or commentary or something like that. You can always be a threat somewhere else. It's just like any other team, especially like when basketball. When you're not on your game that night, you can always feed the rock to somebody else and do something well. You know what I mean? You can always be a threat on the court, no matter if you're scoring points or not. Same way with esports. Same way. But it seems like a lot of people have not understood that. You go and you get the best gamers, you know, or the best skill-wise gamers to win games, but you put a microphone in front of them, and they're just like, and they don't know how to fucking talk. You know what I mean? Like, so for those who do have media training, of course, a number of them need it, but of course, there's a number of us who can play, you know, do esports, and as you can see, be on camera and talk with no problem, and express how they feel with no problem. And, hey, you know, it's personality. You want good human beings all around. That's what it is. You know what I mean? To be able to project. To be able, and when I mean project, I mean their voice. Not just, you know, project whatever, set agenda or whatever. Their voice. You know what I mean? So as far as I'm concerned, this is a good move. I felt for me. I feel for the group. And we'll see what happens in the future. I cannot wait to start getting into competition now that, you know, as y'all know, just not too long ago, I had my fight, so that's, you know, out of the way now. So now I can kind of take some of that time and put it in the video games. Should be interesting. It should be interesting to see how this turns out. But, you know, I'm looking forward to it. A good path to start. And we'll see what comes from it. Until then, I am done for the day. I will talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. Let's get started because, you know, tomorrow we got the stream. Talk to you then. I'm out.